Today, we're looking at a black ink by Sailor Kiwa Guro. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, if you like fountain pen ink reviews, I would invite you to subscribe. Also, if you're interested, you can follow me over on Instagram. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Tasha Spectrum with a music nib, wrote with it for a day, and used it to take my notes for this video. I used 3 papers to standardize in some of my writing samples: Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. There are additional writing samples that'll come later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it came in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation, and we didn't get any. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. There's spots of shading and there's darker letters that are occurring. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Medium is a little bit darker than the extra fine, not as dark as the stub, with no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade, 21 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we're not getting any. And Rhodia, with no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen. It does have bits of shading coming through. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 9 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, not quite as dark as the stub, with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, and there was none. I agree with Vita. I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see that this is very quickly trying to bond with the filter paper, and we do get some of it pushing up, but this is going to be a very permanent ink. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. The line formed at the bottom is much darker, much more there, and a lot less of this black is moving, so we're expecting some real permanence. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before I test it. Looking at the highlighter, go ahead and use this in a note-taking situation if you want to go back and highlight, because it doesn't notice it at all. Water did nothing to break this ink up and move it, but it did move some of that little bit of black. You see it just like it's smeared over. That just means you couldn't use it for something like watercolor. But for all of our writing purposes, this is perfect. Water's all that it took to get it out of my pen though. Pen Flush had no response to trying to break this up off the paper. Neither did the 1/3 bleach solution. I test ink viscosity with a tilt test that I'll link somewhere. Now for the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Sailor's Kiwa Guro has a viscosity of 3.1, making this a dry ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those. Now, for the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Sailor's Kiwa Guro has an average dry time of 13 seconds, making it right on the edge of normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Sailor's Kiwa Guro, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went for a nice magenta, and I chose Robert Oster's Opal Mauve. The second writing sample is done on Life, Levenger, and Franklin Christoph paper. Here we're looking at Life paper. Now we get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. The medium is about the same tone as the extra fine. With no feather spread, halo sheen, it does offer some spots of shading, 10 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine shows no color variation. The medium shows spots of it, and we got spots of it in the writing. Levenger paper with no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 had no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine, just a little bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is about the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no real shading, 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us, well, the medium shows a little bit of color variation, but we're not really getting it. Extra fine showed none, and we got none. Last up is Franklin Christoph, with no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 3 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 4 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation, and we didn't get any, and that is all that I have for the writing samples. So what do I think of Sailor's Kiwa Guro? This is a very dark, very permanent, non-shading, perfect black ink. I don't know what else I can say. It's perfect. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? It doesn't matter what you choose. It's going to be a very dark line, and it's going to be perfect because this ink is perfect. If you've enjoyed this video and made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down and tell me why. Thanks for watching.